Hello, people of the internet. It is future me doing an intro for what will, I guess, be part 2 of the shift knob and overdrive delete or overdrive solenoid delete videos for the Volvo. I'm doing this because when I originally filmed everything, I just had it stuck in my head that it was just going to fit on one video and everything go together. And when I started editing part 1, which will be posted, of course I come outside and rain comes in. It just got too long. Part 1 was actually longer than what I like to have my videos. It's around over a half hour, like 34 minutes or something like that. And I try to stay 15 to 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is pushing it. Anyway, that's why I'm doing this. And that's why the first video ended without me saying, and that light's going bad too. Good job. Without me saying anything, signing off. So, you know, what happens sometimes. Time gets away from you, videos get away from you, things like that. But sit back, enjoy, everything gets wrapped up in this video, and go out and have fun. And we're back. New day. Getting everything started. I did get the first coat of satin black. On the, trying to find a good place for the light. This is where the garage door opens, so I don't have any overhead light. Normally it's overhead light blinding. Today it's just going to be the sun rising. Right there. But I did get the first coat of satin black on the shifter components. This morning, you know, it's nice and 40 degrees, so perfect temperature to paint in. And yeah, so we're gonna get on to the undercar stuff. Like I said, I'm just draining what's in the pan, refilling, and putting that solenoid block off plate on. So let's see what I got set up so far. We've got some 3/8, we got some rags, we got some brake clean, we got a catch pan. A nice thing, oh, too old to be laying on the ground like this. The nice thing about these AWs, and I got a fluid leak back here. Yeah, it's probably tail shaft seals leaking. Anyway, nice thing about these AWs is they got a drain plug for the transmission pan. The other nice thing, supposedly, is the dipstick bolts in, but I've never seen anyone successfully get this out. So what you do is you take some, this is silicone hose, but it is rated for specific oils, transmission fluids. It's not fuel rated, but it's appropriately oil-based related. Remember, not all hoses are rated for the same stuff or the same pressures. And you just cut, it's got a nice big long section here. Sorry, you probably can't see because of the light, but it's got a nice big long flat section. You cut it and you just use this to kind of fill the gap. It works. Like I said, I changed the filter on this when I bought the car. That's probably been 5-6 years now. Hasn't had a whole lot of miles put on it, so that's why I'm just changing, just dumping the pan fluid and going. But that thing hasn't leaked, so it's good. Everything else, you can't see. I don't have the light pointed the right direction. Everything else is nice and crusty. I have changed that fuel filter before, but maybe it's time for another new fuel filter. It's been a couple years. Anyway, so we're going to dump that out. We're going to put the valve on, valve plate on, which is up here. I'll show it in a few minutes. And, yeah. All right, so we're under here, drained, put back in. I did use a new Viton. It's 9mm ID by 2mm diameter O-ring is what I had that fit. It may not be right. You can use Buna. Use anything that's not going to deteriorate in the oil. Just put a new O-ring on it. It was a little looser than I thought it should have been. So I put a little thread locking compound, not Loctite, thread sealing compound. Excuse me, I shouldn't call it locking. Thread sealing compound on it. I used to use in hydraulic systems that didn't have AN fittings. They were using pipe fittings and stuff. Trying to get, you can see my solenoid's a good bit rusty crusty, and yeah, the camera doesn't fit. There we go. That's a good shot of it. I believe that's probably leaking just a touch. That's a little wet around the edges there. So let's see if I can refinagle maybe this GoPro. I don't know what I've got that'll fit. No, all you get in my hand. I don't know what I've got that'll really fit up in here to get this out. I mean, it's not like I don't have a plethora of tools, but I don't really know what I'm going to end up using. And I don't like, where's it at? There's the pigtail. I don't really like that I don't have a good spot to like tie it to. It can just bounce over to the drive shaft. I tried pushing it back through the grommet, and it's pretty much in place. So I'm just going to leave it and hope for the best. Seems like the transmission mount's finally starting to wear out, as well as my center support bearing and the drive shaft. So I guess it's time to do drive shaft and U-joints. But yeah, that's a future problem. Let's get to this. Let's try this again. Take 2. As I just went through all of this and realized that I hadn't turned the camera on, because I are good. Okay. Solenoid's out. The wire loops to the front of the transmission to this bracket. This is a 6mm bolt with a 10mm head. These are 2 8mm bolts with 12mm heads. I first attempted to use a 12-point ratcheting wrench, and I switched over to a 6-point socket on a flex head 1/4-inch drive ratchet, and I would recommend using a 6-point trying to get these out. Do note that there are 2 O-rings, a large one and a small one, on the original solenoid. On the solenoid block-off plate, there is 1 O-ring. That's it, just the 1 O-ring. I put a little bit of Vaseline on the O-ring and seated it in there. I used bearing grease, used transmission fluid. I like something a little bit tackier so that I know the O-ring's not going to flip off or fall off when I flip it upside down. I added a little anti-seize to those because the old ones had a little bit of rust at the bottom of the thread, just a little bit of rust at the bottom of the thread. You know the deal. So yeah, we're going to get this stuff back in. We still got to finish up the shifter. We got to top off fluids now. Once everything is 100% back together, I guess we can take it for a drive and see if it blows up. Alright, so we got fluid levels topped up. I'm actually a little over full. It just happened. The Volvo, these particular AW dipsticks have like 105 degree Fahrenheit and a 190 degree Fahrenheit mark on them. And in between getting the 4th quart of oil, well, checking and then getting the 4th quart of oil, adding it, everything like that, the temperature jumped up high enough that I could go with the 190. And I'm a little over full, not bad. That looks good. I know, I got leaks. Might need to find that one now. But it doesn't look like what I changed is leaking. There's my Space Invader lower chassis plate, if nobody's seen it. It's kind of crazy, but it's what I had laying around when I built it. Yeah, maybe I'll investigate that other one.
Okay, that was just funnel spillage. It was dripping down the outside of the transmission dipstick tube. My transmission funnel is long enough to clear everything to get into the dipstick tube, but the base of it is too big around. It tapers. It goes from being one size to the other noticeably, but it's still too big, so I have to use 2 filters, or 2 funnels. Had some spillage. That's what it is. Wiped it up. No other leaks though. So that's great. So now the only things we're waiting on, I can put this back on the ground, get another coat of paint on there, and get some clear coat on it, and I should be able to put everything back together. If anybody has a recommendation for a mount setup internally in a car for a GoPro, leave it in the comments. I have a setup in my Wrangler, but the way the aftermarket dash piece is, I just ran a sheet metal screw in it. I don't want to run anything into the dash on this car. It's not perfect, but it's in really good shape. I don't want to, even too much adhesive stuff. I don't want any more than I've already got on there. So, if you got one that mounts to like the rearview mirror or something like that, that would be good. I've seen some that are heavy-duty magnets. I just don't trust the ones outside the cars. I know everybody uses them. I know they use them on racetracks and everything like that. I personally, it's just not my thing. So, yeah, let me know if anybody's got a suggestion. Throw some paint on here. Hopefully when we come back, which may not even be today for me, we'll have a shifter in the car on the ground, and maybe we can go for a drive. Okay, and it's all back in. And my God, that glare is terrible. Is that better? I don't know. Maybe? Like that? This. Just turn the light off. I think we'll just go with turning the light off. How about that? So that's it. It's in. It's done. I guess I probably shouldn't have been moving around that fast. It's in. It's done. I let the paint dry. I clear coat dry everything overnight. It's midday the next day, so and it's had plenty of time. Everything feels good. This little set screw, that little set screw is held in with some red Loctite, so hopefully it doesn't go anywhere. The two at the base, so one's here, one's about 180 out. Those got some blue Loctite on them, just some medium strength stuff. We're key on. So as it is, the lock works. You're not doing anything. Brake, down, reverse. Everybody's there. Let off brake. Park lock. So, it works. Again, I'm not super happy with as tall as it is. I really would have liked the ball. I guess, comparatively, it kicks out about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch above this line is where the 45 starts coming in. And I think, honestly, I really would have preferred the 45 to start coming in somewhere between the edge of the ashtray lip and maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch below that. But again, like I said, I'm just not 100% sure that I'm fully ready to commit to lopping off the inner piece, because as it is, the entire shift mechanism assembly cluster thing, because it's a big unit, it is still 100% OEM. You could buy a new replacement factory shift lever, plop it on there, or shift knob, and plop it on there, and it would work. Like I say, just for me, with doing the overdrive delete, the solenoid delete on it, and it's not overdrive delete, excuse me, the overdrive lockout solenoid delete, it just didn't make any sense at that point. Flipping the camera around. So yeah, I mean, it didn't. For me, it did not make any sense. I might as well get rid of the button and try to do something with a shifter. I'm not out of anything but time. It's all random stuff that I had laying around. So those are always the best projects. Keep, the random crap that you've got that's like, one day I'll get to it. You've got to make that day. You've got to just put it to use. You've got to make the time. You've got to make the day. But I think it's okay. It's not bad. Like I say, yes, it has some downfalls. It's not perfect. I did not go into that piece of tubing and correct any of the imperfections, any of the spots or anything. You could put some featherweight in there, filler, and fill in the little holes, fill in the little divots, fill in the little imperfections, sand it all out, and repaint it and do it. And it just, this is a test run. It's not really worth it for me, but I think it's one of those things where it is a little nifty. It is a little different. I think I kind of would like a different ball. Oh, sorry, my arm's getting tired. I think I would kind of like a different ball on it, or knob end, or knob end. Yeah. But for right now, this works 100%, and I'll ride it until it doesn't work, and then I'll back up, regroup, and either change things to something I want or modify it so it does work. I mean, it's trial and error, right? Used to be common practice to do trial and error. I think I want to get some block offs for the heated seat switches. The switches have never worked, even when I had when I first bought the car and it still had the OEM seats. Switches have never worked. I changed the seats out. I don't have heaters in them. So I'd like to get rid of those buttons. I guess, I have to figure out it out. Either make a blank or see if anybody on Turbo Bricks has them up for sale, something like that. But I think this is where I'm going to end it. This is going to be the Automagic transmission doodads. Everybody get out, have fun, have a nice day, and go do something you like.